What's up, everyone? It is Matt, and I am back for another real review. It's the first one of 2025, and it wouldn't be kicking off the beginning of the year film slate without a January Blumhouse release. Now, for those people who don't know, Blumhouse typically has two, occasionally three major releases every year, and they typically are released in either January or September/October. Last year we had Night Swim, which they pushed hard. You can go check out my review for that. Or Speak No Evil, which was September of last year. In the past, October releases have been like the Halloween franchise. Other January releases were Megan or Glass, just to name a couple. So it's now time for it's always the ringing in of the new year when you get a Blumhouse release. With that being said, though, let's talk about Wolfman, because that's what I'm here to talk about. And honestly, I was highly skeptical going into this film. I did not really care for a lot of what I'd seen for it, especially in the marketing. Um, for those people who are into Universal Hollywood Horror Nights, they did a Wolfman tie-in with their themed nights this year, and a lot of people got what seemed to be our first look at the character design for Wolfman. I can happily say it is wrong. That was not the character design that we really got. So I am glad to say that, because when I saw that, that scared me, and not like, oh, this is a scary movie. It's scary. It scared me because it didn't look good at all. And ultimately, that mixed with a very mixed marketing campaign scared me going into this film. I've made it known in a lot of my horror reviews. I'm selective on horror, but there are certain names or franchises that I will always tune in for. The Halloween franchise is a franchise I tune in for. The Scream franchise is a franchise I tune in for. And a name I will tune in for is Leigh Whannell, who's the director of this film. Now, with that being said, he also directed Invisible Man, which was one of the last films I saw before the world ended with the panorama, as Jay Washington would say. However, I loved Invisible Man. It was a thriller. It was scary. It was everything you could want from a modern update of that character. So when Wolfman initially was announced with Leigh Whannell directing, I was very excited. And then, unfortunately, some casting happened and then was undone, and that was Ryan Gosling originally going to be the title character. And then COVID and the writer's strikes and the actor strikes and all. This was a movie essentially announced in like 2020, 2021, and we're just now getting it beginning of 2025. So this has been a long process. When it comes to the film itself, however, I can sit here and say it's well directed. The performances are great. Christopher Abbott, who I am hit or miss on depending on what's going on. Julia Garner. I was thoroughly happy in that regard. However, I wanted more from the story. And I know that's weird and saying a lot, but listen, I can sit here and be honest and say, of the Universal monsters, Wolfman has always been my favorite. There's a reason I still love the Van Helsing movie. Recently got it on 4K. Great purchase. But it's one of those things where this is a little bit too much of a departure from the Wolfman mythology, and I get that it's supposed to be a modern, new, updated take on it, but I don't necessarily enjoy the lore that comes with this version of the Wolfman, because it is more so a sickness, and it's a disease that The reason we get wolf is it is tied to a the disease is called uh, something along the lines of one with the face of a wolf. So there's your wolf in all of this, and that's why it's like, okay, let's see how it rocks. And tell you what, it's one of those things where the film is also just, it's fairly predictable. And while I did enjoy the Wolfman design that we got, I do feel it could be better. There's a lot I might do a spoiler review for this film because there's a lot I want to talk about, but I'm afraid of spoiling it because it does deal with some topics like generational trauma and how that can affect us and things like that. And it's interesting. It's just ultimately the story isn't executed well, and that's the biggest knock against it. And for those who have watched my reviews before, to me, story is the most important thing. It is a beautiful film. It is edited interestingly. It is overall it's worth the price of admission. I can say that. But when I'm bored or feeling the story drag in an hour and 40 ish, it's like 147 minute movie, that's not a good thing. So if I'm going to give this film a rating and it's getting a major penalty because of the story, it's a 3.5 out of 5 reels for me personally. Just wanted more. Sucks. They nearly had me with the premise, but I just couldn't totally get behind it, and there's not much you can do. It's like any other January Blumhouse release. It's hit or miss, and I'll give this one that it's a slight hit. It's not a strong hit, but it's a slight hit. It'll just be interesting to see how you guys, the audience, tune in for it. So if you've seen this movie, if you were planning on seeing this movie, let me know in the comments. If you've seen it, let me know what you thought. I'm very curious. I always love talking to people about how they feel about certain films. If you go look at some of the past reviews I've done, like Better Man last week, I try to comment on everything I can because I like having film discussions with people. So be sure to comment, but also be sure to check out everything we're doing over here at Watt Real Entertainment by liking and subscribing. But check out our sister channel, Watt Real Gaming, which is where our Twitch streams go to live after the fact. One of my partners, Taylor Cleek, does a fantastic job of curating that side of things. So if you just go ahead and follow us at twitch.tv/WattRealEnt, like it's spelled there or right there, and go ahead and do that. We do have podcasts that we do, and we're going to try to start doing more of them. One that we started back in October is Reviews from Metropolis. It's our Superman podcast leading into James Gunn's Superman, so be sure to check that out. It's essentially going back and looking at Superman and all these forms of media that focus on him. Later today, we have our top 10 movies of 2024 video dropping, so be sure to tune back in for that, and just keep an eye out for any trailer reactions or reviews or out of theater reactions, as I'm now forcing myself to do, and even real news updates. I did the first one about the Ahsoka season 2 news last week. You can check those out. All those things will be something that are done more and more on this channel, and I'm really excited about that. But until then, folks, signing off. I am Matt. This was another Real Review, and we'll see you next time.